border security beyond what many believed was possible.
I can say that our security efforts along the border are strong and getting stronger every day.
I think anyone who looks at this honestly will note the tremendous strides we have made in the past 4 years in protecting our borders. In fact, they have never been better enforced than they are now. Like I said, our borders now are more secure than they have ever been in history.
They said we needed to triple the Border Patrol. Or now they're going to say we need to quadruple the Border Patrol. Or they'll want a higher fence. Maybe they'll need a moat. Maybe they want alligators in the moat. They'll never be satisfied.
And welcome back to Hannity. We are in Dallas, Texas tonight with Governor Rick Perry. That was administration officials telling us time after time the border's secure, and the president, who said he doesn't want to play politics with this, talking about moats and alligators. Yes. What's your reaction?
That's the same president that said Al-Qaeda's on the run. And, you know, I don't know whether he's inept or there's something else going on, as I've said before. But the fact is the border's not secure. We have a humanitarian crisis on our hands now because the border is not secure. And the president needs to understand that the single most important thing that he can do is put the National Guard on the border to coordinate with local law enforcement, with our state law enforcement, with the Border Patrol, and you can secure the border, because we've done it before. Steve McCraw, the Department of Public Safety Director, he knows how to do this. We have done it in different sectors.
Bring people inside the room, because you're faith-based leaders, you're in the room, the president's there, you had this little public showdown about meeting on the tarmac or not. Bring us inside the room, your observations, your insights, your read of this man, read of him and his understanding of what we're talking about here.
Yeah. You know, the president, I think the president was engaged as I was discussing with him. I did a lot of listening.
Likes to talk a lot?
And the president, you know, he let me know what his feelings were about these things and what the fixes were, and I injected where I could. And the fact is, I don't know whether he heard what I said. And because a leader acts, and what I haven't seen out of this president are actions that make me think he understands what's going on. It's one of the reasons I want him to come to the border, because I think he really needs to see how the interaction with these different law enforcements and the addition of the National Guard could secure that border. And I think if the president would see that with his own eyes and he would act on it, you can't talk about it, you have to act, Mr. President. That's what leadership is.
We got health issues. We've got gang members. We've got drugs crossing the border. Now we have talk of militia members maybe coming down to do the job that the federal government's not doing. Sure, that's not something you want to have happen, is it?
No, it's not. And, you know, we have now supplemented our appropriation. We've spent over $500 million since 2005 on the border, Texas taxpayers' dollars, to do the job that the federal government should have been doing. Another $1.3 million a week on top of that. And, you know, the president can address this. He can easily address this. I don't understand his pushback when it comes to, well, we've got to pass this supplemental bill before we can do that. Mr. President, if you care about securing the border, you can direct the DOD to make those 1,000 National Guard troops available, and that would send the powerful message. You want to send some symbolic messages down to Central America and say, you no longer can send your kids up here because they can't get in.
Do you think he sent the message to come? Is he responsible?
Well, I think the policy, I mean, the nuances of the policies, when it's catch and release, when it's that if you're from another country outside of Mexico, then you're going to be treated differently and you can stay here for up to 2 years. Of course, those are messages that very quickly get transported back to Central American countries. And so the failure of this administration to secure the border, I wrote them a letter in I handed him a letter in 2010 talking about the border problem that we had and the lack of security there. We wrote a letter in 2012 talking specifically about these unaccompanied alien children. And Governor, I mean, if you want to fix this,
well, let me ask you about this, because I would look at the VA issue, and if I heard, and I were president, which by the way everybody knows would never happen, I would set up a 1-800 number because vets are dying and we made them a promise and that promise isn't being fulfilled, and I would make sure that vets were in desperate need of care that we were neglecting would be taken care of within at least a week. It seems the president doesn't ever have that sense of urgency. Are you saying that this is an urgent issue that needs to be addressed within weeks, months? What are you telling him?
I think you could have 1,000 National Guard troops on the border, the message sent well before that, but in 30 days, actually have them in place. And the message would be overpowering back to Central America that you no longer can put your kid on a train, put them on a bus, send them up with a coyote, and have them come into the United States because that border is now secure. That's the most humane thing that we can do. I mean, if you want to address this issue of all of this human cost, the most powerful thing that the President of the United States can do is put them,
parents with kids.
Don't let them be separated to begin with.
Governor, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you being here.
We're going to take a break. We'll come back. We are in Dallas, Texas tonight, and when we come back, Karl Rove, he'll look at the political implications of all this. Also, are we on the brink of war in the Middle East, as now the Israelis have called up 40,000 reserves in light of the recent rockets being fired into Tel Aviv? That and much more as Hannity continues.